Hey, I'm Jason Brozen, and I am the lead corporate safety and technical trainer with Tyndale. Today we're going to look at 105.3. Right now, we live in a world that loves to point fingers and shed responsibility. So today we're going to talk about exactly that. Whose responsibility is it to keep employees safe in any place that you work at? Is it yours? Is it the employee? Is it your boss? Well, the answer is yes. Let's get a bit more into it, shall we? It's interesting that the first responsibility listed is the employer's. Here's what it says. The employer shall have the following responsibilities. Number one, they need to establish, document, and implement the safety-related work practices and procedures required by the 70E. So basically, you create a specific document, which is typically your ESP, your electrical safety program, and then you have to put it into practice. How you do that is by providing your people with specific training that teaches those procedures that you create in your electrical safety program. They have to understand. This can be a combination of different types of training, such as classroom training, could be on-the-job training. It just needs to be done with purpose, and it has to be documented clearly. And by the way, OSHA does not really care what you say that you did. They care that what you document that you did. So you need to make sure that you document. Throughout the video series, you're gonna hear me say that, and throughout the 70E, it talks about the documentation process. The number two responsibility of the employer is to provide employees with training in the employer's safety-related work practices and procedures, which we just touched on. In other words, your people have to understand the rules completely. There's a big difference between stupidity and ignorance, right? You can't train stupidity out, but you certainly can train ignorance out. It's your job to make sure and train the ignorance out of your people. Training is going to include things like specifically how to do a task, tool use, safety equipment. It might also include other processes and procedures for your safety plan. Auditing is also extremely important. More on that later. I mentioned before, you get what you inspect, not what you expect. There has to be follow through with this, right? Or it'll just fall to the wayside. Okay, just when you thought the employer had all the responsibilities, let's talk about the employee or your responsibility. OSHA is very clear that there are both employer and employee responsibilities. In 105.3b, it says that the employee shall comply with the safety-related work practices and procedures provided by your employer. This also means that employees need to understand their limitations and really need a safe work culture to report any unsafe acts. And this is without punishment, of course. I frequently tell lower level employees that there is nobody more important or more invested in their safety than themselves, right? It's not your boss's responsibility, not your boss's boss, etc. You have to take personal responsibility for your safety. Bottom line is that safety is everybody's responsibility. I can't tell you how many times in my job I've heard the phrase, "That's not my job." Right? It's everybody's job. Safety is everybody's responsibility. All of these responsibilities that I just read describe a hand-in-hand relationship between the employee and the employer. There has to be trust in there and follow through. So that does it for now. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.